Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars, like never before, because we have been to see No Time to Die.
Yes, you're going to need to hold on to your hats. It's going to be all Bond, and nothing else, really.
Hardcore Bond tonight.
Yeah. And I suppose we should do it early doors. There will be spoilers.
There will be spoilers. Please do not listen to this if you haven't seen it and don't want it to be spoiled. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, you do want it spoiled, then have at it.
Up to you.
But yes, if you don't want to know what's happened and you are waiting to see it, then maybe don't listen to this one.
Yeah.
Well, not till later.
No, delay. Yeah, you're allowed to listen to it once you've watched it. That's fine.
Oh well, obviously everyone will want to, but
this is a companion podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure if we just email Barbara, we'll be able to use the word official and everything on it. It'd be fine.
Yeah, no, I mean there might be slight issues because they already have one, but. Let's not worry about that.
Yeah, but this is I think we'll way better.
Yeah, we'll supersede that. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So we went to a cinema.
We did. We went out. There were people there.
Yeah.
It was quite a novel experience. We even dined beforehand.
We did. This is not for nearly 2 years has anything like that happened.
It's weird, isn't it?
It was very strange, yes.
But
that smell of the cinema, that's what got me.
There's
and
it wasn't too grotty either, actually.
Not at all. And we discovered the cinema we went to has obviously been upgraded since the last time we went because the seats were much better. Definitely
better seats. And
definitely.
Someone's been round with the old anti-back. Make sure that COVID's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, well, we haven't got it, and it was a week ago, so
yeah, all is well.
I think so. I think we got away with that.
I mean, the only thing that perhaps bothered me ever so slightly during the cinema experience was I don't know if you blocked it from your memory actually, but we were sat watching the trailers, and the cinema that we go to, they sometimes schedule in a live show. So, for example, if something's happening in London on stage, they'll live stream it into the cinema.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Right. Okay.
And you'll remember it when I say it. They were advertising that we could go and see a live performance via video feed of Cliff Richard.
Oh God, they did, didn't they? Yes. No, I had forgotten that. Thank you so much for bringing that back. Oh dear.
He looks a bit
old.
Preserved, I was going to go with.
Pickled.
I just wonder if they've embalmed him already.
Oh, that's really spooky. On my Instagram feed, there is a picture of him just below the post that you've just put up.
Oh, is he next to his vehicle?
He is.
Oh God, yes, I saw that one earlier on.
Yeah, that's really freaky. I just scrolled down and you're talking about Cliff Richard and there is his smiling face.
Oh dear.
Freaky. He's in the internet. He's leaning on a Rover 75 touring.
Of course he is. If ever there was a Sir Cliff car, that's it.
That's it, isn't it? Yes. Oh, you'll have a few of those.
He will. He'll be humming away in there, chirping along to Wired for Sound, wouldn't he?
Oh dear. Yes, I do recall that trailer now. It went on too long, and it was quite disturbing. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. How much do you not want to be in the audience for that?
Oh, enormously, very much. Never, ever want to even go near the building.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I think... I can't remember whether you actually heard my expletive.
Well, it was quite loud.
It was.
I think I recall something.
I just couldn't believe that it was like, no, don't do it.
No.
Oh God, no, they've done it.
Put it on.
Uh-huh.
This is not your audience.
No. No, I can imagine we could look around that room and there would be no one going, yeah, Should we get
Oh,
tickets for that?
I think we ought to. Yeah, I'm making note of that. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yes, that was a truly horrible moment, but it did not detract from the rest of the evening, fortunately.
No, fortunately not. No, I would say we struck it from the memory, but it stuck in mine, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it had gone from mine, but you've just brought it back, so that's excellent work there.
Good, good. There we go.
Yes.
Well, we said it was all Bond content, but that's been Cliff Richard heavy there for a minute.
Richard Heavy from it. We even talked about a car. That's didn't expect that. Right, let's
Oh
move
no,
on.
Rover 75. It's fine.
That's true. It's one of our favourites.
Yes.
So yes, so a new Bond film.
Yes. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was long, and I
Well,
didn't need a wee.
no, well, we preempted that, didn't we? We
Mm.
sorted that beforehand. Well, obviously individually, we didn't. It wasn't a communal event.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Uh,
It wasn't Team Piss. No.
no,
Um,
that's no
but
grotty.
no, but it was. It's a bit different, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
not what I was expecting.
No.
I'm somewhat familiar with the genre, as I think we've established.
Yeah, I think between us we've seen a couple.
We might have. Yeah, I'm still haven't quite come to terms with it. I have to say, it is not my favourite.
No, that's okay, and I don't think it was ever going to be because
No, I don't think it's. I'd be surprised if it was anyone's favourite, to be
no,
honest.
it takes a lot to get near favorite territory, doesn't it? So,
Yes, it does. Oh, it does.
but that's not to say it was a failure. It would have
No,
been.
I think it's got some problems.
That's okay.
I don't think it's a perfect film by a long
No.
way. But it has some. It has a very good score. Very good score.
The old Zimmer.
Yeah, old Zimmer frame. Yeah,
Yep.
with lots of references to the work of David Arnold and John Barry, working in some melodies of the past.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh yes, yes, leaning heavily on Her Majesty's Secret Service,
Always a
um,
good one.
as it is a good one, as the whole film does actually.
Yes.
But good score, good some good individual sequences. I think the film has a bit of a problem with pacing. It's a little inconsistent. I think the style of the film is a little inconsistent. Sometimes even within the same sequence, that they sort of change pace, which I found a little distracting.
I suppose it's a
Um,
difficult one because it's been sat for a while, fiddled with different directors.
Different directors, different writers.
Mm.
It's been re-edited a couple of times. In fact, I think there was a car sequence which was done away with. We were talking about this the other day. Sort of in
Yes.
the middle of the movie. I'm sure I saw some pre-production stuff that was not in the movie.
I think so. I did try to have a rummage. I couldn't find it.
Hmm,
So
some stuff involving one of the Astons.
mm,
I'm sure I can't find it now either, but I am sure I saw some stuff on MI6 when
yeah,
they were filming it, which was definitely not in the movie.
yes, yeah. No, I know the bits you mean, but
That was interesting, and of course, less said about the ending, the better.
Eddie,
Yeah, but
let's not start at the end.
no, we won't. We'll come on to that. No, we'll
Yeah,
let's do this. Let's do this logically.
right.
Given a
Let
little bit of an overview there, but let's do this logically.
right. If we're going to do it logically, we're doing a car podcast. We're going to go
We
through
are.
the cars first.
Yes.
Then rather than turning into a film review, we'll do a nice summary, won't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
so.
the way forward.
Yeah,
So we begin in Italy,
we
um,
do.
and all is well, and the DB5 is there.
It is.
Mm.
It is looking resplendent as
Mhm.
it always does. Now, these DB5s, of course, were not actually DB5s.
No, they were very much. Well, they were laser scanned,
Yes.
carbon fiber bodied, so they
Yeah.
look the part.
Yeah.
Not entirely Aston Martin underneath.
No, I'm not in. No, in not no. More
Mm,
BMW, I believe.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, I say a little bit, all of it.
all of it. M3, I'm told. Yes.
So I've heard. So,
Mm.
but I mean, that's all right.
Yes. Well, I mean, it makes it much more easy to chuck it about and doing stunts with it than a car that's worth probably at least £1 million.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to think you're gonna actually have to drive these cars hard. Do you want to do that with
Yes.
any of original cars or the recreation ones? Not a chance.
No, well, the recreation ones are 3.5 million
Yeah.
each, and they're going to need quite a few for
Yes.
the length of the sequence that they've filmed. They needed quite a few, and well, I mean, there aren't that many originals.
No.
They only made about 900 in the first place.
Yes. So no, it's fair that they used new sort of. Well, they're not bodge jobs. They were very well done.
Oh yeah, but then yeah, not original DB5s, not in any way, shape, or form.
No, and
Um,
I do believe they made 8 in that particular spec.
okay, that sounds about right.
And is a nice nod. I love a bit of Le Mans. Um, when they were made, they were given a shakedown. All cars were given a shakedown by Aston Martin racing legend Darren Turner.
Very good.
Yeah, so
Very good. I knew they'd spent some time thrashing them around to make sure they were okay. Yeah.
yes, but he did the legwork on that.
Oh, very good.
Mm.
Very good.
So
Now, there were some inconsistencies I noticed here.
mm,
And not inconsistencies, if I could speak, between the cars, but inconsistencies between those cars and the originals.
yes, well, this is an issue going back many years, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, as we've already discovered. No, what is wrong with me today?
Discussed.
Discussed.
There you go.
That's the word. Um, the original car was different anyway, but even if you're matching to the others, there were a few bits that they, I guess, decided not to include. For instance, it had the roof panel for the ejector seat. That's clear in several shots. It
Yes.
did not, however, have the bulletproof screen that came out of the boot lid.
No, but he'd clearly had a bit of work done because he got shot at and was all right.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, very, very bulletproof.
Mm.
More bulletproof than anybody has a right to, I would suggest.
I think
Um,
so. I think Q has been very busy there.
it also doesn't have the box on the front bumper for the revolving number plate.
That is correct. I'm looking at a picture of it now in my book.
It does not. However, we can forgive these small matters because we know the car's been rebuilt anyway, at least once, because it was rebuilt in the last film.
That's right. Didn't they even make a nod to that? That he said he'd made some tweaks because he had to have it rebuilt or something along those
Yes, I
lines.
think he did. Yes, I
Yes.
think he did at one point. I can't remember the exact words he used, but
No,
yes,
so that's a nice get out of jail free card. That.
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can do anything.
Well, the whole universe works like that, doesn't it? This never happened to the other fella. That's it. Instant get out of jail.
All the way back to him.
Yep.
Yes, yes. He put that on Twitter. I noticed he went to see the film in Los Angeles, Mr. Lazenby,
He did indeed. I saw
and
that.
he put on Twitter, "I've been to see one of the other fellas." I thought that was lovely.
Yes, he's enjoying quite the renaissance at the moment, isn't he?
Isn't he? He's the man of the moment, isn't he? All of a sudden, yes. It's weird for a film that was virtually buried after it was launched, and they kind of almost denied its existence for decades. It's actually been more referenced than any other Bond film within the series.
Yeah, really has. Yeah.
Yeah, all the way through. Even in the Roger Moore films, it came up a couple of times.
Well, that's it, because you've got in Roger Moore's films, there's a reference to it in Man with the Golden Gun, reference to someone he loved and lost. Um,
Yes, there's a reference to it in The Spy Who Loved Me as well.
oh yeah, sorry, no, I got my arse about face. I meant Spy Who Loved Me.
I thought you did.
Not getting
Yes,
Bond wrong.
yes, exactly. I thought you did.
Yeah, I did
Yes,
get it wrong. Yeah,
Major Amasova mentions that he's
that
been
was it.
married. Yeah,
Yes, and then obviously the beginning of For Your Eyes Only.
For Your Eyes Only. He's at Tracy's grave. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's mentioned again in License to Kill.
Yes, at the end of Felix and Della's wedding.
That's right. He was married once, but it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yes, and then, good heavens, this film.
And then, good heavens, this film. It is all over the place. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. We have all the time in the world. He even says that line at the beginning. Yeah. Whilst driving said DB5, bringing it back to the cars.
Cars, yes, there we go.
Yes. It is a very good sequence, that, with the DB5. I thought the DB5s looked very convincing, I have to say.
Oh, they looked the part. They really did.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah, they do look real. They do look like proper DB5s. I'm sure up close you could spot all sorts of rough edges, but on film,
I'm assuming they probably had a couple that were fairly tip top for the close-ups, wouldn't they?
I'd have thought. I mean, the ones the actors were in seemed to have fairly complete and accurate interiors.
That's right.
I'm sure some of the stunt cars didn't bother with that.
No, and they would have been hacked about as well, I expect.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Stunt drivers on the roof and such like.
Well, I've seen pictures. There was at least one with the driving pod on the roof, and all kind of rigging down both sides for cameras and cables strapped to it and all sorts of things.
We should give a little nod to the person who did the majority of the DB5 driving, and that was rally driver Mark Higgins.
Oh, very good. Very good.
He's actually done quite a lot of Bond work since Quantum of Solace, I believe.
Okay. Yes, because it was Ben Collins, wasn't it? Before that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Ben Collins definitely did Casino.
He did Casino, and he definitely did Quantum.
Yeah, I think they shared roles. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good sequence. Its bulletproof abilities are stretching things a little, but
well,
there it is.
All right, it's all right.
Yeah,
it's fiction. It's fine.
We'll let them get away with that. Yeah. Yeah, very good sequence, I thought, and I liked the little touch, particularly when they're in the square and he's doing donuts in it, spraying his bullets everywhere. The little close up of the rev counter.
Yes,
Very nice. That was very good.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's someone actively thinking about that. So yeah,
there's definitely, I don't know who was in charge of selecting the vehicles, but there's definitely somebody who knows their cars, because the chase cars in that sequence were quite interesting.
Yes, because we had some various ones.
Various ones.
Jag XFs.
Jag XFs, the facelift ones, yeah. A couple of those.
The Maserati Quattroporte.
The 80s one?
Yes, yeah, must have been 80s, possibly into 90s, but yeah, the boxy fella.
That's a very interesting choice.
That's a discerning choice. That's what, if you were a villain in Italy, perfect.
Oh, absolutely. That's Mafia, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's got written all over it. Less glamorous Italian vehicle was the Lancia Thesis.
Yes. Again, though, an interesting choice.
Very interesting choice.
Yeah. Somebody who knows their cars were in charge of choosing those. Because you're not just ringing up a dealer and saying we need some cars for a Bond film and they're turning up. Those are specifically selected.
Very specific. I like that. That was good.
They obviously had to use some Jaguars because of the sponsorship. So.
Yeah, there was a few Jags in there. there was in passing shot. There was being Italy. It was a Fiat 127.
Of course,
Yep.
absolutely. Oh, and a carefully placed Ferrari.
Ah, yes. When we arrived at the train station,
Hmm.
the Dino 308
There you
GT4.
go. Yes, lovely red, just parked under the trees there.
Yep.
Yeah, again, that's not there by accident.
It's not. It's one of those things. It's a fairly unloved Ferrari. And you think, well,
It is, isn't it?
someone's put it
Yeah,
there on purpose.
yeah. That's not that's not one of the hot ones, really, is it? That's not the one that people are buying.
No, no.
Um, you've got to know what that is,
Mm.
and somebody obviously did.
No, that's fair play. I liked that.
Mm, that was good.
Um,
Um,
one little comment regarding the whole opening sequence and chase and villains. Um, the car ends up in quite the state
it
from
does.
being bashed around
Well,
tight
he
Italian.
goes down a few alleyways, doesn't he? That it doesn't quite fit and things.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's interesting when they shot it. They actually shot towards the end of the sequence first, so they actually battered it about before they shot the
I've
pristine.
I've seen them doing that. Yeah, I've seen props guys sort of running up and down these cars with blocks of sandpaper and chisels and screwdrivers and all sorts of things to yeah, to deliberately damaging them.
Yeah.
Um yeah, that must be a fun job.
Yes, that must be nice. I tell you what, that must be difficult actually, because you got to think if you want to damage what is meant to be a '60s car,
Mm,
and yet underneath all of the lovely paintwork is carbon fiber.
yeah,
I'll be careful how far you dig down.
I suspect a bit more paintwork was used in that to make it look right. I don't suppose, although I've seen them doing that,
Some, I have to say it. Some of it was stickers as well.
and some of it will have been stickers. Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I have seen them with blocks of sandpaper and things going up and down them, so I know some of it is real. Um,
Yeah. But
but
no,
yes,
I liked the fact that they did it arse about face.
yeah, no, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, they've only
Mm,
got 8 cars. I mean, even though they're not real DB5s, they're still not going to be cheap.
not at all.
Um,
No,
so they've got
no,
8. They're probably not getting any more.
no,
So
no. They want to look after them vaguely well, I suppose.
yes, they've got to do it right.
Mm.
So yes, that's nice. I like that. That makes sense.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
And well, that concludes the pre-titled sequences, doesn't it?
Well, it does really. A little motorbike action, but obviously we're not interested in that.
Eddie, it was a lovely triumph.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough. I had no idea, but I'm glad it was a British bike.
You can. They even made special editions. You can buy them.
Of course you can.
Of course, you can.
Of course you can.
An extortionate amount of money for what's
Oh
said to
yeah.
be a standard triumph with a particular paint job and a badge.
Well, you can buy a DB5 full of gadgets if you know.
Okay, the triumph is considerably more affordable than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're not nice motorbikes. Um, and I suppose the next vehicle we should mention actually is because the next one of interest in terms of the film sequence is when we arrive at Mr. Bond several years later.
5 years later, in fact.
Five, in
Yeah.
fact. Yes, there we go. They
Yes.
even said it on screen. Um,
They did actually.
yeah,
Yes.
he's in Jamaica and he's got a set of wheels for himself.
He has, hasn't he? He's got a little bungalow there, which is looks suspiciously like GoldenEye.
That's
Um,
fine. That's fine. Nice little nod, I thought.
yeah, I said, well,
Fine.
it was actually filmed just down the road from GoldenEye.
Mm,
It wasn't GoldenEye, but it was a very similar property.
okay, that's
Um,
nice.
yeah,
Um,
very similar sort of bungalow style with the louvered windows and the wide open doors, and yeah, lovely.
oh yeah, basically you can take the side of the house off, can't you?
Yeah, well, you want to there.
Mm. Yeah, you're going to want a
Warm.
through draft.
You are going to want a bit of a breeze on the go.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
but he's Mr. Bond's rocking a Land Rover Series 3.
He is, isn't he?
Mm,
He's proper incognito with that. Yeah.
yeah, Properly
Aston to
ropey,
Jamaica. Yeah, properly ropey. Yes.
but still works.
Yeah. Well, till it gets broken. Yeah.
Well, it was deliberately broken. It didn't actually break down.
No. I know. That's what I mean. That's why I said it
Oh, okay.
gets broken.
No,
It
that's fine.
doesn't
Well,
break. It gets broken. Yes.
it's important to clarify that on a Land Rover product.
It is because you could. It would have been very easy to believe that it had just broken down on its
Oh,
own.
yeah. Yeah, I've parked it. It doesn't work anymore. Oh, right.
Nobody would have questioned that.
No.
That's fine. They didn't need to break it deliberately. It's the plot would have worked just as well if it had just conked out.
Mm.
You park up, you go in for a little bit of a drinky, you come out, and needs a bit
No,
of tinkering.
of course it does. But I thought that was lovely. Lovely vehicle. Really cool.
There is this isn't car related, but I feel it needs mentioning as lovers of the music.
Please do.
In Bond's whatever it was, bungalow, chalet, whatever you want to call it, they'd obviously dressed that it was Bond's place. He'd been living there for years.
Mhm.
There was a Marantz hi-fi system, which
Well
is a
spotted.
wonderful old make.
That's nice. No, good spot. I didn't,
My
didn't
dad
register that.
My dad has a Marantz tuner. It's one of my earliest memories of its little needles flicking back and forth.
Lovely.
He's had it for, well, clearly decades.
Well, yeah.
And yes, there was a Marantz, but it wasn't a stacking system. It was all kind of separate, which I thought
Yeah.
was all hand picked. Separate tuner, separate amplifier, separate CD player, all just
No, he's done well.
beautiful. Likes to get the sounds just right, does Mr. Bond?
Mm.
Yes.
Yes, get the banging tunes going correctly.
Nothing to do with cars, but I felt it was a nice enough touch to worth mentioning.
It was nice, and you mentioned that. I mean, you got to think. Perhaps some of his previous films were dripping with product placement. I didn't feel
You
too
might say
sold.
that, yes.
I didn't feel too sold to during this film.
No, I didn't actually. I didn't feel the product placement was as brash as it's been in previous times.
No.
Partly, I mean, it's possible they sort of toned it down.
They may have even had to pull some of it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say because some of it actually doesn't, like, it was supposed to be the launch of the new Land Rover Defender, but it's actually been out now for about 18 months.
Yeah, we've had that a while now, haven't we?
That's gone. So I wonder whether they've said that it's pointless, just take it out because the ship has sailed.
Yes.
I mean, I've even seen some round here. That's how long it's been out.
Yeah, well, there's actually loads around here now.
Yeah, well, there would be, wouldn't there? Farming country.
Oh, yeah, the farmers aren't buying those, though.
That's true.
That's not for them. That's for the rich folk now.
That's a very good point, actually. Yes, no, farmers can't afford Land Rovers anymore.
No.
They're all in Toyota L200s now. But Mitsubishi L200. Sorry, I corrected myself before you did.
Come on.
Yes. Mitsubishi. It's been a long day.
That's fine. Right, cars. So we're going to go.
I mentioned a classic stereo. I'm sorry. Cars.
That's fine. No, I like that. I accept that. That's got its place on the podcast.
Yes, I thought so. Yes.
We, for the next vehicle of note, jump back to London.
We do, don't we? Yes, we do.
We do, and it's a car we've seen before, or have we?
It is, and it's one of my favourites. In fact, I would possibly go so far as to say it is my favourite Bond car.
It's a bold statement, and it's a good choice.
I think so.
But
it's one of my favourite movies.
It's not my favourite, but we will be coming on to my favourite very soon, I feel.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yeah, you've made a very strong choice, and like you say, it's from a good film initially.
A good film, yeah, from where it comes from. The Aston Martin V8 Vantage, I believe. Because sometimes it's called the Volante, but I believe that's the convertible version.
That is correct.
Yes.
And when it appears in the Living
we have the winterized version in this film. Yes. Yes, and it
Exactly that.
appears in the Living Daylights. Yes, that's right. It was Timothy Dalton's car, B549WUU.
Correct.
And it's just lovely. I like the idea that Bond has got classic Aston Martin stashed in lockups all over London.
Can you imagine how much he's spending on rent on these lockups?
Oh, just because he's yeah, they're not small either. And yeah, so he goes in, pulls the sheet off in the same way that he does with the DB5 in Skyfall, and there it is. I like the idea that it's a turnkey. He just gets in it and he's gone. I mean, he's not in there putting a battery on it and pumping the tires up and changing the oil filter, and because it's been sitting for years.
Yeah,
There's no way that is starting on the button.
No, he's not thought. I wonder if this fuel's a bit stale. Do I need to
He's
maybe
just in it and gone.
drain the tank and put a new fuel filter on that? Yeah,
He is going to be in that lockup for hours getting that going again. He's going to be up and down to Halfords. It's going to take him quite a while.
Not convinced Halfords are going to have the parts for that.
Well, no, maybe not. But he is faffing with that for quite some time.
But not in the film.
Sadly, we don't get to see that. But I like to feel that he is doing, because that there's no way, if that's been sitting for 5 years, it's just starting up and he's gone.
That'd be fine. Be fine. No, you have a little faith.
The 1980s Aston.
Yeah, it's not going to work, is it?
No.
But yeah, it's now we come on to the bit where I took a slight issue with the film, going, while I like that car, and it is one of the best of the Bond cars throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
What's it doing in there?
I know, it makes no sense, does it? I mean, neither, I suppose, does the DB5, if you're being specific about Bonds.
It doesn't, but that leans on the heritage, and I suppose they could argue so does the V8. You go, well, yeah, but you've made so much emphasis during No Time to Die on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
Why on earth is it
Why
not the DBS?
Why is it not a 69 DBS? Yeah. Would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? Particularly setting up the jeopardy of what happened in that car at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
You kind of think, if you had Bond and Madeline in that, with the On Her Majesty's Secret Service and him saying, "We have all the time in the world," I mean, we're going to be on the edge of our seats.
I mean, we already were. As soon as those words fell out of his gob, you go, "Oh, for God's sake, don't say that."
Oh, I don't know. Don't do that. That doesn't go well.
No.
No.
But
have you not seen the other movie? Just look what happened to the other fella.
Didn't go well. But if they were going to bring back a car, it should have been that one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I didn't think of that during the movie, but as soon as you commented on that afterwards, I thought, yeah, that's dead right. It should have been. They've made so many references, but there were no references to the Living Daylights, and yet that's the car they chose.
I mean, granted, we all like the car.
Oh, it's nothing. This is nothing against that car. I think it's brilliant.
Well, it's your favourite.
It is my favourite of the Bond cars. But I agree entirely that in the context of this story, the DBS, I think, would have worked better. And you can't tell me they couldn't have got one.
No, someone's going to have one.
Yeah, Aston Martin have got one. In fact, Aston Martin have not got the original On Her Majesty's Secret Service car, but they do have an exact same model on the original number plates, GKX8G.
Yes, and it should have been that, because
it should have been that.
Well, and like I alluded to, that one's my favourite.
That's very good. It's very good. It's a close second for me.
It's not gadget laden or anything daft. It's just proper car.
No, it doesn't really do anything. But it is a proper Aston. Also driven by Roger Moore in The Persuaders. Not the same car, but a DBS. But yes, it is a very strong choice, and it's a close second for me behind the Living Daylights car. Yeah. And it would have made more sense, and I think actually would have set up more suspense in the story had it been a DBS.
So. Yeah, I think so. I mean, mean, granted, yeah, the advantage is there, but it doesn't get like a huge amount of screen time. There's that wonderful shot of him getting out of it, tweak the cuffs, off you pop.
Oh, perfect.
Yep,
Yes,
very good.
he's good with the cuffs, Daniel Craig. Yeah,
Oh, he loves a bit of it, doesn't he?
shooting the cuffs is the Savile Row name for it.
That was his thing because Brosnan always had the tie. He loved a bit of tie.
Brosnan did the tie. Yes, that's very true. Connery did quite a lot of tie action as well.
Yeah, he liked a bit
Um,
of tie.
liked a bit of tie. But yes, shooting the cuffs is very much Daniel Craig's thing. Yeah,
Mm.
it's good.
It
It's
is. I
good.
mean, but I don't know. There's not a huge amount more to say on it, really, is there? Because it
Well, that
doesn't.
car doesn't do anything. Although, as we said at the top, I think it did do more, but the sequences got cut out.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, whether that was maybe they chose the Living Daylights car because that did have gadgets in it, and maybe some of those gadgets were utilized in that sequence, which never made it into the final film. Whereas the DBS never had any gadgets, or at least not that we ever saw. That could have been the reason for choosing it.
I suppose.
But in the context of the finished film, I agree entirely. The DBS would have made more sense on several levels.
Yes.
But um,
But there we go.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't get a huge amount of screen time. Bit of London, drive up to Norway, then
which we
that's
don't really see.
no, no, not at
I
all.
mean,
Really.
that's going to have taken him a while.
Oh, you imagine the fuel bill on that.
Oh,
Mm.
absolutely. A 1980s Aston Martin V8 driving from London to Norway.
That's right, and it won't have been beautifully set up as we discussed. He'd have got it running in the garage. He wouldn't have had time to properly balance the carbs or anything like that.
Rough as a badger's badger.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where we leave it. Fortunately, we can pick up almost immediately from Norway.
Mm.
Um, as
Yes.
Mr. Bond sets off in a different vehicle.
He does a very different vehicle. A vehicle I believe we have never seen him in before.
No, I don't think so. Not that I
No.
can recall, anyway.
No.
A Toyota Land Cruiser. It
A
was
Toyota Land Cruiser in beige.
yes, I believe J90 Prado. I
Oh, very
think.
good. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with my Land Cruisers, but I'll bow to your superior knowledge there.
Oh, it's the Japanese thing. I like a weird number.
Oh, you do, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you
So
do.
yeah, off he goes with Madeline and oh yeah, he's
With
got a baby on
with
board.
his family in the back. Yeah. Yes, we should have had a baby on board sticker in the rear window, shouldn't we? Really, that would have just
Mm.
finished that off nicely.
If it were a
Yeah,
Roger Moore film, it would have.
absolutely would have.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. And there would have been some toys dangling from the rear view mirror as
I
well.
sincerely hope so. Yeah,
Some sort of little rattling, squeaking device would have been rolling around in there.
that's right. Yes. No, fortunately, we didn't have to
Love a
contend
drive
with
in the country.
that. Yes, good. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
all
Yeah,
of that. Yeah,
that would have broken the tension beautifully, wouldn't it?
it would. It would have knackered that. Yes, he
Yeah.
uses it to bap a few Jaguar Land Rover products out of the way.
Yes, because he deals with the two Range Rover Sports, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, he does. They're gone quite quickly. Yeah, rolling down the hills. Yeah.
Yeah, I've read it in a few places now that they weren't initially going to be used.
I have also heard this, yes, but they were delivered because there was a delay with the Defenders.
That's it. So that's why we have the initial chase by the two Range Rovers, and
Yes, they were supposed to be Defenders.
so that's all right. It worked. I didn't feel like we were shortchanged. It just felt like, well, we'll set the boys
No,
off in the Range Rovers first, and oh, they've ruined it. Right, time to roll out the defense.
we always send the first couple are never going to make it, are they? The first couple are always going to go down. So we'll send them out in the older cars.
That's right. Yep.
But in many ways, that kind of it had they been Defenders, as you said earlier, it perhaps would have ramped up the product placement thing. And you kind of think, well, actually, yeah, I mean, yes, those are current models, but they're a bit older, and yeah. You
Nicely sinister.
didn't
Right.
feel as sold to with those, but yes, all blacked out, and yeah, I thought that was fine.
Oh yeah, I
That
accept
was
that as a
fine.
villain vehicle. That's
It
fine.
was quite a good sequence, that generally.
Really good.
Um,
Really good.
really good in the forest. I thought that worked extremely well.
Mm.
Um,
And it was nice to have the defenders. They were not treated gentle, were they?
they were not. No.
They
Now
were.
I've heard that they were pre-production models.
That's right. They were the first 10 off the pilot version of the production line.
Yes, I've heard that because it was all in a bit of a rush.
Mm,
And that sequence was shot in Scotland, not Norway.
that's right. You'll
Yeah.
like this about how rushed they were. Um, they with new cars uh, in prototype form, there are gonna be problems. Uh,
Mm.
and these days, the computers run everything. Uh, they were Jaguar Land Rover were actually sending software updates over the air
Ah.
to help out with weirdness and glitches.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm.
I like that very much. Yes, that's excellent.
I thought you'd like that.
Oh, that's very good. Yes, I like that. I also liked again, this is a little nod to a previous Bond where our hero wishes to dispatch one of the villains, but he's out of ammunition, and the villain is lying under a rolled Land Rover that is sort of balanced on the edge,
Yes, on an iffy
held
bit
by
of tree, wasn't it?
iffy bit of tree, and Bond just gives it a shove, and down it goes and squishes the villain. I thought a nice little nod to Bond kicking the Mercedes off the cliff in For Your Eyes Only with the villain in it.
Oh
I thought
yes.
that was a nice little. I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought it was a nice little
No, I think. Well, I
homage.
I would be surprised if that weren't intentional.
Oh yeah, I
It
would
was
think that that would.
very
Yeah,
reminiscent.
yes, it was.
Mm, I
It
liked
was.
that.
Yes, that was a nice little touch. I thought,
Mm.
and a dispatched of a truly objectionable individual. So,
Oh, he was really. I mean, he was punchable, wasn't he? That one.
oh, he was. Yeah, he was bad. Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Mind you, we did.
really, really dislikable.
Yeah, we did
Yes.
declare spoilers. So that was Logan Ash was the
That's the
character.
fella. Yes,
Yes.
the double agent.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, even before you knew he was a double agent, you didn't like him. You
No,
thought,
no. You
oh,
thought what?
you're a slimy little git. You are.
Yeah, you are a class A bellend. You.
Yes, you really are. Well, like Bond says, he smiles too much. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
spot on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got that exactly right. Yes.
yes, you're very mistrustful of people who smile too
Mm.
much.
No, that was very good.
Before we move on
Yeah.
from Norway,
Mm.
um, Bond leaves the Aston um, parked in a forest. We don't see it again.
Well, he lives at
Um,
Madeline's house, doesn't he?
oh, he does, yeah, but that's in the forest. So
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's not on the main road. I'll grant you.
no, very much not. No, we should before we move on from that car just touch on its potential provenance because I've done a little research here.
Well, you say potential provenance. You're suggesting that it doesn't have any.
Well, yes and no.
Well, no.
It is not the original car from the Living Daylights. I have established that, even though it's wearing the same number plate and it's clearly supposed to be.
Mm.
And it is identical too. Apparently, from what I've read, it was a car that was commissioned by an Aston Martin customer
Mhm.
who specifically wanted a Living Daylights replica.
Oh, lovely.
So they built it for him. Cost about £130,000, something like that, in the early 90s.
Mm.
And it was then years later, it was sold back to Aston Martin, and it's that car that is in the movie. So it is a real V8 Vantage. It's not a fake like the DB5s. It is a genuine car, but it was not built for the movie, but it was built as a replica of the original.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Just thought though that we'd have been remiss if we'd moved on from Norway without just covering
No, I
that. I
like
think.
that. I think
Yes.
that's very important. And whoever commissioned that, well done, well done.
Yeah, they obviously had some fairly deep pockets. But
Yeah, I mean, because when you said 130,000, I thought you meant now. It's like, well, I'm
no, no,
gonna
no.
I'm gonna see what I can do about that.
Yeah, we might almost be able to scrape that together between us.
They sell a reasonable portion of the house, but that's fine.
That's all right. We do a bit of remortgaging here and there. We might
Oh yeah.
be able to get there.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Spend the rest of our lives paying it off. But no, this was back in the day.
Okay,
It was not. It was not recently,
okay.
but it was a commission to build a replica of the original. So
Excellent. Love that.
yeah.
Yeah, well done then.
So whether that car was available and was offered to the production by Aston Martin, they're saying, well, you might want some genuine classic Aston in here. We've got this one.
yeah,
Or whether the production went to them and said, we want a Living Daylights car. I don't know. I kind of feel like it would have been offered to them by Aston Martin. They said, well, we've got this in the collection. Would you like to use it?
DBS in the collection.
Well, they have got a DBS in the collection. That's true. Again, like this one, wearing the correct plate. Yeah, don't know. Don't know which way round that was.
Gonna get cross.
Mm.
Actually, before we do leave Norway, after all of the antics ensue and 4x4s are flying everywhere,
Yes.
Mr. Bond does get collected in another Aston Martin.
Oh, he does. Yes,
By-
he's having a bit of a walk, isn't he?
Yeah, he's having a little wander, and Nomi
Yep.
comes to pick him up, who is,
She does.
again, we've already done spoilers, she's 007.
She is 007 for a bit.
For a bit, it's fine.
For a bit. Yeah.
So he gets collected in that.
He does. That's kind of the car's only moment, isn't it?
Pretty much, she has a spirited drive to the plane, and there's a bit of a drift.
A little bit on the runway there, and that's about it for that. Yeah.
That was
not
it.
a big moment. No gadgets or anything like that.
No. Oh, and I suppose actually, no. Rather than saying new Aston, it's the Aston Martin DBS Superleggera.
Yes,
just to be specific.
That's be specific. Please be specific. Yes.
And the only other that's not it for Aston's.
It's not, but it might as well be.
But it might as well be because it was Q's lab, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
In the background, there's very briefly the new and yet to be. Is it? No, it is. It is sort of out now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure anyone's actually bought one, but it is.
No, the Aston Martin Valhalla.
Yes.
Striking looking thing. I bet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
give it that. Yeah,
got a bit of time for it, but yeah, I don't want one, but I like the way it looks.
No, and it does nothing in the film.
No, it sits there. That's your lot.
It sits there looking pretty in the corner. That's about it. But yeah, I mean that very much was there in order to have it there. That does nothing to advance the story.
It doesn't, but in a way that I quite like that it was a fleeting glance, not even referenced. That'll do.
Yeah, I think
I'll
that's fine.
that.
I think that's fine. We've had stuff like that before.
The Bond association with Aston is strong, so that's fine.
Well, I mean, you could argue Aston Martin wouldn't still be around without the Bond connection. I mean, it has done them well over the years. Ironic, given that they weren't very interested when it first came up.
Well, yes, but there we go. They've climbed right back on that bandwagon. So.
Oh, they're all over that these days. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, try making a Bond film without an Aston Martin in it.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it?
No.
Well, we haven't.
No.
I don't. Since Die Another Day, we haven't had one without, have we? Because Die Another Day was Vanquished, Casino Royale was DB5, DBS.
Yes.
Quantum was DBS.
It
Skyfall was
was
DB5.
5.
Vector was
Um,
DB5
D-
and DB10. And
yes, of
the latest
course.
one
Yes.
is DB5 and Vantage.
And Vantage
And
um,
Valhalla and
and
DBS Superleggera and
all of them.
all of them.
Yes. More Astons in this one than any other. Yeah. Yes, you're quite correct. Yes, we have not been without an Aston since the Brosnan era. Yeah,
Yeah, so there we go. But I
yes,
think
that's very true.
in terms of No Time to Die, that's probably it for car action.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, because the rest of the film is planes, boats, and soggy trousers, isn't it? So yeah,
yeah, there is an element of water. Yes, that's right.
yes, there is. Yes, yes. So yeah, the car action is very much in the first sort of 2/3 of the film, isn't it?
That's
There
right.
isn't any at the end. Yes.
No, it's
Um,
very, very damp.
no, no Jaguar XJ chauffeuring M around this time.
No,
Um,
no. So,
and yeah, I think you're right.
so I think then we should naturally move on to a bit of a movie summary, shouldn't we?
Probably, yeah. I tippy-toed in this direction at the beginning, but
Um,
yeah,
I think, like we said, you covered the fact that the pace is a bit hit and miss. Well, not hit and
it
miss, just changes a bit too abruptly.
it's yes, it does. It's inconsistent, and I felt I was yeah. The Bond films of old used to do establishing shots, multiple establishing shots for a location very well. Like the books and like Fleming's very deep descriptions of things,
Mm.
it helped you feel more immersed in it. Like we're going to the Bahamas now, so let's have some nice shots of the just take a moment, just take a few seconds and let's have a few sweeping vistas and maybe some wildlife and just take a moment to say, right, we're moving here now. I felt with this film, and it's not just this film, it's a style that seems to be infecting all these sorts of movies, including the last few Bonds. We're just suddenly Norway,
Mm.
and it's just there. It's like
Yeah,
within a set you're in London, and then a split second later you're pulling up in your car in Norway, and it's like, well, hang on, give me a
yeah.
minute here, give me a minute.
No,
um
I think you're right. It's an
it's
issue.
they've lost something there.
I think,
um
like you say, industry wide rather than specifically Bond.
yeah, it's not a criticism of this film, it's how all films are these days, but I think it's a shame. I think
Mm.
you lose something with that kind of. I don't mind fast-paced editing in an action scene when you're just changing locations, just to boom, done it. I mean, he's not teleported there. There's been some travel, and I just think it's nice just to immerse the audience a little bit in the location. I mean, the exotic locations is a big part of the Bond thing, and you don't really get, and the tight, close-in editing. You don't get a feeling of like Madeline's house. It's all close-ups. You think, can I see a shot of it from the outside? Can I get, can I just get an idea of where it, what it look? Can you just give me a minute? It's,
Okay.
yeah, I think they've lost something with that.
Mm.
Um, it's
Well, hopefully, I mean,
it's a shame.
cinema styles shift, don't they? So
Yes, I'd like to
hope.
see that. I'd like to see that come back. But
Yeah.
that was always a staple of the older Bond films, is that you always felt, you know, immersed in the location, and I didn't get that, and haven't got that from these later ones.
Well, that's okay. That's a fair criticism.
Mm.
I'll
But
accept
you're right. It was the pacing of the film was inconsistent,
that. Mm.
um,
Um,
even within individual sequences.
yeah. I think one sequence that I really enjoyed that was actually paced quite well and I didn't think was fragmented as a whole
Mm.
uh, was the Cuban stuff.
That's a wonderful sequence.
Uh, Paloma's character. That she is fantastic.
She is brilliant. She should get her own series. That was
Yeah,
yes, that was brilliant.
yeah.
It was amusing. It was sassy. That was a very enjoyable sequence. The byplay between Bond and Nomi, um, kind of working against each other at that point, and yeah, that was a brilliant sequence. It was funny. It moved the story on. There's some nice action. Um, yeah, as I said, there are individual sequences which are very good, and that is one of them. That's a real high point.
Yeah, really was. I mean, the way it concluded made for difficult watching because we had to say goodbye to Felix.
Yes, that was a great shame, and I'm not convinced within the context of the story that he needed to die.
No, I just feel it's part of the Daniel Craig bookend.
Seems to be
Yeah, which
every it's a bit of a fire sale, isn't it? Everyone must go.
um, and I have to say, I'm going to put Jeffrey Wright right up there as Felix actors. Really enjoyed him.
Very good.
Mm.
Yeah, very good. From Casino Royale onwards,
Mm.
yeah, he's been brilliant. A very strong Felix. I've always liked David Hedison in the role.
Interestingly, the only other man to play it more than once.
Yes, indeed, Live and Let Die and License to Kill. Um, he had extremely good chemistry with Roger Moore, which I think helped in Live and Let Die because
Mm.
they knew each other and had done for years.
Yeah, that was
Um,
really good.
mm, Slightly less chemistry with Timothy Dalton, but Dalton's Bond in License to Kill is a very different style anyway. We're more akin to what we've got with Craig. So, um,
Yeah, I
but
know what you
yeah,
mean. Yeah, that sort of more gritty
yes,
Mr. Bond.
yeah. Well, he was a bit ahead of his time with that. But yes, I agree. Mr. Wright is an excellent Felix, and he didn't need to die, and that was a shame.
No, I know what you mean. It wasn't essential to the story, but like we said, I suppose it comes back to it just being that, like we said, the bookend, really, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. But there it is. But yes, that whole Cuban sequence was really good, really good. That was one of the best sequences in the movie. I did like the sequence in the forest in Norway. I thought that worked very well.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that worked. That worked well.
yeah, lovely sort of sinister overtones. Really
Yeah,
good.
the dark, kind of misty, foggy forest, and that was proper kind of old school with Bond sort of firing at nothing to try and draw them out, and that was proper. You really felt in the moment with that. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it was a good sequence. A sequence of two halves, with the first half in the cars and then on foot, and yeah, that worked very well. That's another high point for me.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. Really enjoyed that.
Mm.
Um, what I really enjoyed was Bond and M. It was very much. Well, it was a bit fractured at the beginning, wasn't it?
It was. We've never had a scene like that. I mean, we've had Bond and M be a bit abrasive with each other before, but nothing like that.
No.
Um, and I felt that M in this film was. I struggled to believe he was the same character of the previous film. He was very different. I didn't feel. I wasn't. I struggled with M's motivations for what he did in this one. I felt that there's nothing against Ray Fiennes in the role; I think he's brilliant. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah. He was
character, it felt like too much of a departure
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
um, for me. I liked the byplay between him and Bond. You know, has this desk got bigger or have you got smaller?
Oh,
I
I love
thought that.
but it is clear. M's clearly under some sort of strain because, well, again, spoilers. It's fine. The Hercules. Oh God, what's it called?
Oh, yes,
Heracles. There we go.
Heracles, that's it. Well done.
There we go. I kept wanting to say Hercules. No, it's not that.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's got a
Heracles.
plane. He's got a plane out the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either that
Living
or
Daylights reference.
or he really likes Greek gods. One of the two.
One of the two, yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, Heracles. That's that. M is responsible for it, and clearly is feeling a little under strain because it's out in the open world and been acquired by a villainous chap.
That's the bit I struggle with, though, that M would have been involved in something like that at all.
Well, I suppose it's a new era of espionage. Maybe he would.
Yeah.
But I loved the fact that he kept going for whiskey and going, "Oh, you're thirsty.
You're thirsty today." That's coming from Bond, who never leaves the bottle alone.
No,
Bond's drinking in this film is enormous. I mean, even when they visit Q's flat, he's straight on the wine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a bottle on the go?
Rude not to.
Truth. Yeah. You've only just arrived. But yes, clearly M is under some pressure in that scene. Nice office. Very classic M office with
very reminiscent. You'd expect a bit of Bernard Lee in there, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah. It was, yeah, absolutely. But we do have a couple of portraits in the movie of former M's.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do indeed. We've got Judi Dench, don't we?
We do. We got Judi Dench and we've got Bernard Lee. Bernard Lee played M in the first 11 Bond films.
Hang on, because you say, did they cut to a shot of Robert Brown as well?
Well, I didn't see that, but I've heard talk of it online that there may have been. The artist who did those two portraits posted them both on Twitter because I downloaded them for my personal collection.
Very good.
And he only posted Bernard Lee and Judi Dench.
Part of my brain thinks I saw it, but
I've heard this. You're not the first person to say that. I've seen that online. I didn't see it, but it's certainly something I will be examining when I'm able to get the movie on my own screen.
Yeah, the next time we watch it. I mean, I'm not ruling out another cinema trip, to be honest. Just to hammer some of this home, actually.
Wouldn't hurt.
Just to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I hope it is there. It would be nice. Yes, to have Robert Brown.
Yeah, we'll try and pay more attention this time.
Yes, indeed. Yes. He played M in 4 Bond films, I believe.
That sounds about right.
Octopussy, A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights, and License to Kill.
Yep, I'm happy with that.
And then good. And then Judi Dench came in because Bernard Lee died shortly after Moonraker.
That's right. We
didn't replace him. No, we had Tanner, Chief of Staff, gave Bond his mission in For Your Eyes Only.
And then Octopussy was Robert Brown.
Robert Brown was in one previous Bond film.
He was Admiral Hargreaves in The Spy Who Loved Me.
Very good. Top marks, sir. Top marks. I knew you'd get that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So yes, the byplay between Bond and M was good fun. I found M's character, I don't know, for me it was a little bit, they pushed the character a little bit too far. They pushed the character a little bit beyond what I was prepared to put up with. But
I mean, in Bond films of years gone by, it's such a small role in comparison to what there is now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, the role expanded enormously with Judi Dench in it, didn't it? I mean, her introduction in GoldenEye is just tremendous.
Fantastic!
Yeah.
Those two worked so beautifully together.
They did. She must work better with Brosnan than she did with Craig, I think. Her two, I'll single out my 2 favourite M scenes, shall I? Judi Dench.
Judi Dench, yeah.
Yes. The introduction of her character with Pierce Brosnan, you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, etc. that
Well,
sequence.
that's very good as well because you've got the Tanner element in there as well, which worked quite well because he shoots himself in the foot, doesn't
Yes,
he?
he does. Yes, he
Yeah,
does. Yes. Yes, the evil queen of numbers. She's standing behind me, isn't she?
so she has.
Yes.
Sorry, and your second one, mate.
My second one, in Skyfall, uh, Bond says to her, "Oh, I read your obituary of me," and she says, and he's appalling.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I
good.
yeah, I knew you'd hate it.
I think that whole bit was good though because he says that he's going to go and find a hotel. He said, "We're not
Oh
bloody well
yeah,
staying here."
that's right. Yes, you bloody well not sleeping here. Yes, that's right. Oh, we sold your flat.
Very good.
Yes, she's well. I mean, she doesn't give a bad performance, does she? So
No,
it's
no, you're in safe hands.
you are in safe hands with her, and it's a great shame that she's not in it anymore. Um, Although the way they've taken the character, I think Ray finds is more appropriate. He's more old school.
The way that Skyfall ended with the shots of him in his office, and you think, "Oh yes, so we've arrived here."
Yeah, proper old school. He's got the military bearing because although in the books and in the early films, M was Royal Navy, whereas Ray finds his M is Army. Um, Still got the military bearing, and
Mm.
a not dissimilar background from Bond.
No,
In fact, I
no,
think in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Bond refers to M as the Admiral. Because
he
if you
does,
recall, he
doesn't he? Yeah.
turns up at his house. It's the only time we've ever seen. Well, it's not the only time we've seen M's house, because of course we've seen Judi Dench's place a few times. But Bond goes to well, what can only be described as a mansion.
It is a big one, isn't it?
It's
And
a big one, and
he's
yes,
cheeky bit of lepidoptery there.
that's right. Unusually small
Yes.
for whatever it is.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no one knows yet.
No one knows what that is. Yes, I thought you were on leave.
Mm.
Yes.
But that was yeah. He's
And he arrives and says to the butler, "Is the admiral in?" So
yes, that's
that
definitely
was
Navy.
that's definitely Navy, yeah. But Ray finds his M is Army.
That's
That's
correct. Yes.
explained, isn't it? So yeah, yeah, it's interesting scenes. The We come back to M's office at the end, of course, for a little
Yes.
bit more. Yes.
I suppose we should tackle the the elephant in the room now, shouldn't we?
Oh, it's controversial, isn't it?
And I've sat with it for a long time now, and
Yes.
I think you and I are actually going to. I'm not going to say we're going to argue about this, but probably not going to wholly agree on it from our previous discussions.
Possibly.
So
Possibly. I like you have given this a lot of thought.
Mm.
More than is healthy, really.
it's fine. These things need thinking about. Someone needs to have a little think.
Yeah.
So we've actually before we tackle that, there is one glaring thing that both you and I agree on that we think is just a bit crap, and that is the motivation of Safin.
Yeah. We haven't really got any. That's the
No.
problem.
That's the reason we haven't mentioned it because I think this whole thing could virtually take place without him being involved.
Yes. This is the first time you could actually remove the villain completely from the movie, and it actually wouldn't make much difference.
No, it's just thinking, well, yeah, all right, he's got a cheeky little grudge, but I think
Yeah, but how do we
that's
go from a cheeky little grudge to I want to kill everyone?
yeah, 'cause want to kill everyone, and I know, I'm well funded. Are you?
Yeah. Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing a disservice to Rami Malek. I think the part was well
No,
acted. I just think the part was not written beautifully.
I don't think he had a lot to work with, to be
No,
fair to him. No, I don't think it's a bad performance. I just don't think there was enough on the page for him to really give it much.
No. And part of me worries that actually it was a bit more sinister and perhaps some hit the cutting room floor because it is virus
Yes,
related.
I agree. I think they thought, oh dear,
I mean, don't you?
oh,
But
what
to be
we've
honest,
written here is actually happening.
but, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just it was a
They had
bit of
some
a
bad luck with that. I'll give them that.
yeah. I
I
mean,
think that was just awful timing, as it turned out.
yeah, and it just I think it's just not very well motivated, and
No,
that's
I
it.
mean
And
we.
I'm happy to leave that there as a thing. I'm just going. I can't
I
really dwell on it much
I
more
think
because
the first time we see him at the beginning, right at the very beginning, um, after the
oh,
slightly disappointing opening gun barrel sequence. Um,
first one ever without any blood.
oh dear.
I'm saying nothing.
Um, oh, crap. Um, when we first see him, back in the past, and
Mm.
he's at well, what he will have known as Mr. White's house, but Mr. White isn't there, but his family is,
Yep.
and he kills Madeline's mother, and he goes after Madeline and all that. You're all right. Mr. White killed his family, so he goes to kill Mr. White's family.
Yep.
Okay, I get that. That's
Eye for an eye type effect.
yeah. If you're going to kill someone's whole family but leave them alive, you can expect them to come and have a word.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I think that's I get that. That works really well.
Yep.
He chooses to save Madeline. Okay, she's a child. Yeah, all right. I mean, she shot him about 6 times. There's a little detail here as well, which I will just touch on before we move away from the pre-title sequence.
Please do.
When we see him walking upright again,
Mm.
and she's under the ice, and he fires at the ice to make a hole so she can come up.
Yeah.
There is a bullet hole right where his heart would be. This was in the trailer, and it's what led people to say, "Oh, is he Doctor No?" Because in the book, Doctor No's heart is on the other side of his chest.
That's true. I've heard this.
So where she shoots him in the chest, shoots him directly in the heart,
Mm.
and then he's all right. Is that well? He's not all right, but he's not dead.
No.
He's that so I don't. He's not Doctor No, but I think that's possibly a little detail that they took from the book, which wasn't used in the film Doctor No.
No. No.
But the explanation of that may have ended up on the cutting room floor. Either
Mm.
that, or it's a subtle little detail for the real hardcore Bond fans to winkle out. But
I mean, if it is, I like that, but it's just
yeah, I haven't got a problem with that. But my point was that he started strong. That pre-title sequence, I thought, yeah, that's cool. We can see what he's up to. Yeah, eye for an eye and all that. And let's see where we go from here. The next time we see him, I am going to kill everybody. Well, how did we get from
yeah.
wanting
So
revenge from against the man who killed your family to wanting to extinguish millions of people?
that's it. I mean, because the Cuban bit is him basically eradicating Spectre.
Yeah,
You think, all right, that's the organization associated with Mr. White, so
yeah. So
that's probably fair.
you're still on your revenge
Yeah,
thing.
you're
Yeah,
in you've got your context, but like
you've
you say,
taken it to a whole new level. But yeah, okay,
yeah.
we'll go
After
with
that,
this. Yes,
it's a million miles an hour to go. The planet gone.
yeah.
Oh
How
dear.
did we go from one to the other? Because he's not a Spectre. Because I thought, oh, was he like all the other villains as part of Spectre? Because the R in Spectre does stand for revenge. So I thought, well, is it part? But he's not, because he gets rid of them.
Yeah, he's not
So
keen, is he?
no, he's not keen. He's not big on them. No, no, he's not popping around to Blofeld's for a barbecue.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I like you say, his maybe too much of his character ended up on the cutting room floor, so that it didn't so much so that it didn't really make sense anymore. Um, but because of that, yeah, he's not believable. And I think the ending of the film, which is very much clearly based around that shaky motivation, it spoils it. because all the jeopardy that's built up there. Yes, but why? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And right, here we go then. We're here. We've reached the end of the film, haven't we?
We have.
We've
We
dodged it at least twice in this podcast.
Yeah, I took us back to the beginning there for a second. So yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. Well,
I've got some problems here.
Well, I'll summarise. There's a bit of peril.
Yeah.
Crisis averted.
Yeah.
Oh bollocks! No. Got to go back. Turns out it wasn't averted. Then Bond encounters Safin directly.
He does.
He's been at a poke with a vial of these Heracles genetic clever virus that
he's had a whack. Yeah.
You're basically a carrier and you can eradicate certain people.
Yeah.
And Safin has made it so that Mr. Bond eradicates his dearly beloved.
Yes.
Is Madeline and the child. Or
yes.
Matilda, isn't it? Or
Mathilde, because it's a French name, obviously.
It's Matilda.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he's quite the broken chap as a result.
Yeah, so snapping, he pulls his arm off.
Yeah, it makes a snapping noise.
It's a horrible snapping noise.
Yeah, not good. But it is a bit late now because
the
old missiles are on their way. Mr. Bond's managed to get back up there and open the hole so that the missiles can get in there.
Yeah, he's gone and pulled the ancient lever again. I did quite like the bit where Q is explaining to him which button he needs to push, but he just pushes all of them.
He's got to be very careful. The sequence is very specific, Bond.
Yes, and he's in there just whacking everything that moves. I thought that was a nice little nod, perhaps back to The Man with the Golden Gun, where Bond is trying to explain to Goodnight which button she needs to push.
Every damn button.
Just push every button, will you? Yes.
Oh. Very good.
Fortunately, Bond isn't wearing a very skimpy 1970s bikini, so
we're thankful for that.
Yes.
But unfortunately, time is not on his side.
No, I've got a problem with that as well. But yes, it's not. You're right.
And for the first time in cinema history, Mr. Bond meets his maker.
He does.
Kaboom. We have the death of 007.
We do. And it was quite the moment.
It was.
Not since the death of Mr. Spock have we felt that kind of emotion in the cinema. Yeah.
It was tricky, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It certainly caused a bit of discussion around the place.
It did. Well, actually, it made the entire place shut up.
It did. Oh, you could have heard a pin drop in the cinema. Yes, absolutely. He's like, what?
What's happened here then?
You can't do that.
Didn't stop them doing it though, did it?
No, it did not.
And this is the bit where I think you and I possibly disagree.
Well, let's find out.
Well, I still don't have a problem with him dying.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a universe where it doesn't actually matter that much.
Yes.
I think we're dealing with the Mr. Craig films in isolation.
If that's what happens, and these are a bubble, and we will get another reboot, I think that's, I can live with that. I don't have a problem with this Bond dying as such. I do have some problems in the way in which it happened.
Go on then.
I don't think it was good enough. I don't think it was properly thought out. I think it was weak. I think there are some enormous plot holes, even for a Bond film. And I know you have to try and look past that with Bond, but Well, you have to try and look past that with the Bond of old.
Mm.
This is not the Bond of old. These movies have not been like that.
No.
I think we throw away Felix. We throw away the whole of Spectre in seconds. The death of Blofeld was extremely unsatisfying.
I agree it was unsatisfying. I like the fact that that we were left thinking, oh no, we've just dodged a bullet here. Went, oh dear.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, and
I
I
liked
thought
that.
when watching it, the way Bond grabs him and die, Blofeld, die, I thought that was out of character, but it's actually from the book. You Only Live Twice.
Yes.
Bond grabs him and says that line. So fair enough, that's from Fleming. Although
Yeah,
the context is different.
the context's different, but I quite liked the fact that was actually a colossal mistake.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, it
well,
was.
it's
Yeah.
anticlimactic, but you think actually that's quite
It was a cock up.
what an interesting way for it to end.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that so much.
However, and we'd come back to You Only Live Twice later, but I have some issues with the ending. Not so much that Bond died, but I felt that there were better, more meaningful ways it could have been done. I
Okay.
thought the whole countdown to the missiles arriving was contrived. Yes, there are other ships on their way to the island, but the fleet is there. I mean, one of the things that a lot of Hollywood movies are often criticized for is having America police the world. Well, that happened in this film, and it was us. Don't tell the Chinese, the Americans. Don't tell them anything. We're just getting on with this. We've got M ordering an admiral to fire his missiles. M does not have that authority. He has grossly exceeded his authority in doing that, and the admiral would not have taken his orders. I thought the whole sort of whatever it was 9-minute countdown. Oh, we've got to blow it up before the terrorist ships arrive. Well, A, you don't know the terrorist ships, and B, intercept the ships. You're there with an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, you probably do something about it.
And you don't destroy that facility with bombs. That stuff's going to leak into the sea. You are never going to be rid of it. That's not the way to do it. You send in a team to dismantle it very bloody carefully. You don't just blow it up. That was nonsense. But even if you're going to do that, even if you suspend that, that logic and say, oh, we're going to blow it up, all right. Have Bond just standing there as a completely broken man, never able to, see his family again. I mean, yeah, I suppose it's a poetic ending. I felt it would have been better if they'd done something like, oh, this rusty lever keeps slipping. I'm going to have to stand here and hold it to keep the doors open, so that there's a reason for him to stay there, not just to have him slumped in a corner, given up. I thought it was almost insulting to the character of Bond and to the 50 years or 60 years in fact of Bond, and I just felt it was wrong, and I felt they'd taken so many liberties in this film that ending was a step too far for me, and the more I've thought about it, the more angry I've got about it, that I feel quite let down by the ending. Not so much that he died. I can live with that on the basis that these 5 films exist in their own bubble, and
Which I think
we like loads of other reviews I've read and watched, we sat to the end of the credits to make damn sure there was a James Bond will return at the end.
Very specific. It said James Bond and not 007, so it's
it has always said James Bond will return.
It has, but we just wanted to make sure that everything was as it should
be. There's more people sitting to the end of the credits of this film than ever before.
Yeah. So we're all right. We're all right. So that
But
suggests.
I can cope with the fact that he died if these movies, are their own bubble. Fair enough. But I did think that his death should have had more meaning.
Okay.
Um, and I felt the reason that he died was too contrived, even for a Bond film, even for these type of Bond films, because they've not been like that. This is not Carl Stromberg in the Spy Who Loved Me, where I like water and I think everybody should live under the sea, and that is the extent of my motivation. Or Goldfinger, I like gold. Um,
Different
and
film.
all the
Different film.
different wrong film. But that's one thing. But in this universe, we've been grittier and more realistic, and I just think it was a deeply unsatisfying and contrived ending for Bond, and maybe that's what they were going for. And okay, but
Okay.
I don't like it.
Okay. That's fine. You're allowed that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. It's and I'm pleased if you and others don't feel like that and you enjoy the movie more because of that. I think that's great.
I'm
But
not.
that's the way I feel about it.
I'm not as upset about you as you are about it. So, I think, like I say, I think we'll take it as read that these 5 films are on their own.
I think they have to be, don't they? Really? I mean, I was how angry about it. I continue to be. Really depends on what happens next.
The fact that it says James Bond will return suggests that we're heading for another reboot, and
I can't see any other way that they can handle it. Really, no.
So I think Craig's Bond has had, well, he's had a crap time of it.
He has had some bad luck, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I just think, I just get the feeling that the end of that, just going, you know what, I can't deal with this now. I've just acquired a family and had it taken away immediately.
Yeah,
I'm done.
yes, but see, that brings me on to another point, which was out of character and not just for Bond's character. They only find out about this stuff. Well, that's not true because M knew about it. Q specifically only finds out about this stuff like the day before, and yet he is absolutely convinced. Oh no, this stuff's eternal. You can never get it off. There's no, changing this. You live with it forever once you got it.
He was convinced. I'll give him that.
You're not even going to try. You're not even going to take some time and research this stuff and work with it and try and figure that out. You just say, "Oh no, it's eternal. That's it. Done."
Well, you got to think, though, this Heracles thing's been going for a while.
Yes, but Q didn't know that.
Yeah, but now that it's out in the open, do you think he's been at least researching it?
I don't know. It didn't.
It's a difficult one, I'll grant you. Yeah.
I felt Bond gave up too easy. I grant you what you're saying, that
I think it's an accumulation of being.
Emotions are running high.
I think he's just been. I think it was just one step too far for him. I think that's my. I think that it's either that's what I think or that's my way of dealing with it.
Yeah, could be either. Yeah, either that's what they were going for, or that's the only thing you can believe. Yes, fair enough. Well, you're a friend. I'm not going to mess with that.
Yeah, maybe that's my safety now. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we have differing opinions on the ending, and that's fine. It's only a movie.
It is, and it's a movie that I will watch again. It's not put me off that much or anything.
I will watch it again, and I will buy it, and add it to my collection. And obviously, I'm not going to stop doing that now.
I will probably watch it as much as I watch License to Kill.
Yeah, i.e., not very much.
Yeah, it has its moments, but it doesn't get rolled out all the time.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. Yeah,
So that,
that's not. If I'm thinking, oh, I fancy a Bond tonight, I'm not going straight to that one.
no, no, no,
No,
no,
and
no,
I
no.
don't think I ever will with this one either. I think of the Daniel Craigs, it'll either be Casino or Skyfall for me. Those are my two
Oh yeah,
favourites of these five. Probably Skyfall, actually. I think Skyfall's got it all. I think it's brilliant. I think that was the high point of the Craig era for me.
it
Um,
was the high point, definitely. I
yeah,
agree, and I think it is his best.
yeah.
But Casino is a triumph.
Casino is a triumph. It was the film that needed to be made. They'd wanted it for so long. It is obviously it was the first book, and they'd never been allowed to film it. And yeah, I think it was a triumph. I mean, they took a hell of a gamble with it in many, many ways, and it paid off. It was brilliant.
Just a bit. Cool, blimey.
Yeah, just a bit. But this one,
Yeah,
it's
it's not the same league, but it's
it's not a terrible movie. I'm not
no.
saying that. It looked brilliant. It was beautifully filmed.
I,
Brilliant score. Some great individual sequences. It wasn't as well constructed as a whole as you might have hoped. A little bit inconsistent, as we've said.
I tell you what, my friend of the podcast who gets many mentions, Ben.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Um, when I said to him that we'd been to see it,
Yeah.
he wasn't seeing it until a few days later. But he said, "Don't tell me anything, but
Mm.
score it out of 10." He said, "Just tell me a number."
Oh, very
I
good.
thought that's good.
That is good. Yeah, that's a
Um,
nice way of dealing with it.
so I did, and
Ah,
I picked 8.
okay. Hmm.
I thought that was my number actually. So there you go. If you had to score out of 10, what would your number be? Don't have to answer
Well,
instantly because I do want to touch on one last thing before we wrap
yeah,
it
I'm
up.
going to have to take a moment to just ponder that a
Okay,
minute.
you ponder that,
Um,
and we need to discuss the tribute to Bond in M's office.
we do. We do
Uh,
need to discuss that little
which
scene, and I
which
use the word little scene.
it was little, but it was
It
quite
was
big at the same time.
yes,
Yeah, because we got a few people around the table there. We got M, Nomi, Moneypenny, Tanner,
yes.
and Q. Sorry, almost forgotten there.
Oh, they're all there, the full crew.
Yep, having a wee dram.
Yeah,
And M gives a reading.
he does.
And
Yes,
this comes from a bit of literature we're familiar with.
it certainly does. Yes, which I mentioned earlier that we would be coming back to. Yes,
And
um,
it's from You Only Live Twice.
is the book.
The book, You Only Live
In
Twice.
fact, his M actually has the book in his reading directly from it. It's in
Reading
his hand.
directly from it,
Yes.
and it's a portion of Bond's obituary from You Only Live Twice.
Yes, because Bond fakes or they fake his death in that in the movie as well. Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, in both the book and the film,
He died on
so
the
that he
job.
may. So that's right. He'd have wanted it this way. Ugh.
Yeah,
Could almost have been Roger Moore.
yeah, it could have. That was
Yeah,
a bad line.
what a bad line. Yeah, so that he can go off on this mission and meet Blofeld,
Nicky Blofeld. Mm.
then they both completely forget about each other and meet them again in the next film, um, like they'd never met before.
Yeah, but
However,
he's
well,
wearing a pair of glasses and a kilt.
oh yeah, and Blofeld's cut his earlobes off, so clearly
Yeah, but
unrecognizable.
mended his face though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Had a bit of surgery, yes, which is also carried through to the next film because he has his face done again and grows the hair back. Um,
Oh yeah, it's fine.
all over the place. Um, anyway, and maybe so maybe some of my problems with the ending of this film. Maybe they're not fair because they've done ridiculous things like that before. Anyway,
I mean, it is ridiculous, and for your casual viewer, no one's going to care.
No, they're not, and
And I,
I don't
I,
expect anybody other than nerdy little geeks like me to even think about it. Um,
I mean,
but
yeah,
I am, and I have. So there.
it is an issue having a Fleming book in the film. Um,
I've thought about this, and I've decided to quite like it.
okay, I mean, I've fallen on that same sort of side because
Yeah,
they've chosen such a bit that was actually his obituary.
it was, and it's a lovely passage. There are actually some very nice passages in "You Only Live Twice."
Mm.
The context of when there's two points I'm going to make here. The
Mm.
context of when "You Only Live Twice" was written. It was later in Fleming's life. It was just after he'd had his first heart attack, which was a big one. But then you live like he did, and you're going to get a big one.
Yeah,
Um, and he'd gone to Japan to recuperate and start researching what would be the next novel, You Only Live Twice, which is why it is set in Japan. And there's a lot of themes of death and resurrection in that book.
yeah.
So I think the references to You Only Live Twice are deliberate in this. And I'm hoping it means this is the death. We will have a resurrection.
Then I
Um,
think we will. I
yeah.
genuinely think that. I'm not. I'm not.
There's
I'm not even worried about it, to be honest.
there's a haiku in the beginning of the book which Fleming wrote,
Mm.
and it's actually sort of referenced in the Nancy Sinatra song for the movie. But it says, "You only live twice: once when you are born, and once when you look death in the face."
Oh, there you go.
And I think, although they didn't use that quote, because that would have been actually saying the phrase
I
"you
was
only
going to
live
say
twice,"
it's a bit on the
perhaps that's
nose, that,
going
isn't
a bit far, even
it?
for this. Um, but I think the themes of death and resurrection that run throughout that whole story, I think, is why they've chosen it, and I hope is why they've chosen it.
Yeah, I
Um,
genuinely think it is.
but it is the first time we've had Fleming directly quoted
Mhm.
in a Bond film, because clearly Fleming doesn't exist in the Bond universe. That wouldn't make sense.
No,
But I think it's a nice. I've decided it's a nice touch
yeah,
to
it
throw
is.
that in there.
It is,
Um,
and yeah,
and of course, all the references to you and to On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
and
Um,
that's the way we end as well.
yeah,
Madeline and Mathilde, if you insist.
I don't insist. I didn't write it.
No, it's definitely Mathilde.
But yeah,
Um,
okay. They're off together. Yes,
yes.
in the V8 Vantage.
Yep.
Um,
Let me tell you a story about a man called Bond, James Bond.
yes, and that's the
You, the
end.
Louis Armstrong.
Cue the Louis Armstrong. Yes, the old Satchmo.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness me! What a. Oh, it's quite the
Yeah,
evocative song, that, isn't it?
it is partly because of its use in this movie, but partly because we know what it means from the original movie.
Quite.
We
But
first hear the song, whilst watching scenes of Bond and Tracy's courtship, and everything's lovely and everybody's in love and it's all happy. And then at the end, yeah, it's all very much not happy.
no, that's it.
And
Irma Bunt and bullet through the noggin, and that's it.
bullet through the noggin, and that's the final scene through the windscreen of the DBS. It's quite all right, really. We'll be going on soon, and all of that sequence. It's so sad. Which I mean, that film is so close to the book, and that line is straight from the book. In fact, I've heard that Lazenby actually had the book under the steering wheel. He was just holding it out of shot so that he could read those last through lines uh, right before he did the take, in order
Okay.
to really get the emotion. In fact, on the first take, he actually cried. He had tears coming down his face, but Peter Hunt, the director, said, "No, no, no, we need to reshoot this. James Bond doesn't cry,"
Probably allowed
which
to when his wife's been
which
shot in
I
the head.
think is a shame. I think
Yeah.
they should have gone with that first take. But yeah, powerful stuff, and I think they're trying to recreate that same emotion at the end of this one.
I'll tell you what,
Um,
I love the way earlier you mentioned um, the death of Spock,
Yes.
and
It was a hell of a thing.
it was a hell of a thing. And in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, we had the death of Tracy, uh,
Yes.
and then we had the modern Star Trek where they switched it up.
That's a very good point, isn't it?
There you go.
Oh, oh, we're mirroring two of our favorite franchises. I hadn't considered that.
There you go.
Oh, I'm going to need to think about that. Whoa, dear. Yes. It's I like the references to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and as I said earlier, for a film that was basically buried for decades, it is actually the most referenced film in the whole series. They're forever
Uh,
coming back to it.
I can see that flying off the shelf at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, it was interesting actually. I read the other day, and I sort of knew this, but wasn't consciously aware of it. He Fleming, I mean, it's widely regarded as the best of his novels.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It was written. I mean, it was one of the last of his novels. It was written in 1962.
Mhm.
When he was writing that at Goldeneye, just down the beach from his bungalow, they were filming Doctor No. So he was very much on a bit of a high. He'd finally got the film deal. He'd finally found a couple of guys who were going to do it justice. He was on a bit of an up, and it produced potentially his finest work. So
It did.
as he was bashing away on his golden typewriter, writing on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Cubby and Harry were just down the beach with Sean filming
Yeah.
Doctor No.
Oh, good heavens.
It's
Yeah,
nice,
well,
isn't
it
it?
it
Nice
is
little
nice.
fact. I like that.
Yeah, I like that, and I'm not gonna question it. It was his best work.
I think it was. And it still stands as my favorite film because of the story, because it's such a strong story.
The
Um,
more you watch it, you think, actually, Lazenby was
he wasn't that bad.
he was actually quite good.
He was. I think he did a very credible job as James Bond, and I think he would have gone on to done more, and he would have got better.
Yeah,
I think it's a shame that he only did one.
I think we were shortchanged there. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
think
know it
he was
was
shortchanged.
well, it's
It wasn't
mostly
his.
his
It wasn't.
agent, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yes, it was. Yes, it was. Ronan O'Reilly.
That sounds right. What a
It,
tit.
it was the guy who started Radio Caroline
Yeah.
was his agent, and yeah, he convinced him that James Bond was over. It's finished. You know, these guys are just going to exploit you, and no, you should get out of this. And he listened, unfortunately.
Same, really.
Now, the way it's always been told is that they fired him because the film wasn't as successful. I don't think that's what happened.
No, I don't think so at all.
I
No, I
think
don't.
that was the studio trying to save face.
I
Um,
think actually it did all right, really.
yeah, it did well. It took longer to earn its money back than some of the others,
Yeah.
but that's because they didn't promote it.
Mm.
They didn't push it like they pushed the others, and then they just threw lorry loads of cash at Sean Connery to come back and do another one.
Certainly
Um,
not his finest work.
and certainly not his. I quite like Diamonds Are Forever, but it's not his finest work. No.
No, no, it's
Um,
I've got nothing against it, but it's not prime Connery.
No, I quite like it, but it's not prime Connery. And it's a very much a return to the more light-hearted American slapstick style that we'd seen from Goldfinger. And on Her Majesty's Secret Service, the style of that film really exists on its own. It doesn't feel anything like the movie before it, and it doesn't feel anything like the movie after it. It
Well,
very much exists in its own bubble.
it's Peter Hunt's only direction,
Yeah.
isn't it?
See, again, he was brilliant. He should have done more as well.
Well, that was
Um,
it. He was only ever editor, otherwise, wasn't he?
Yes, he was editor up to that point. They gave him that one to direct. But it seemed that anybody involved with that film got a bit sort of tarred with it. And
Yeah, a bit sidelined after that, wasn't it? And that was
yeah,
it.
which is such a shame. And
Yes.
it's only now, really, it's only in the last 10 years or so that it's become a bit of a cult movie. And certainly with this film, and one thing I do give it credit for, it's certainly revived interest in George Lazenby.
Yeah, it really acknowledges that film
It
for
does.
the
I think
gem that it is.
I like to think it's perhaps Barbara and Michael, tipping the hat and maybe a little apology to George and saying, "Sorry we ignored you for decades. Actually, you made us a pretty good movie."
Yeah, they did, and I know that both you and I have watched it in the past week. So
We have indeed. Yes, we have, and it's still brilliant. Yeah, and I like all the references to it in this film. It's certainly the deepest references we've ever had to it. And it does follow a lot of the same themes, and I get that. And you could argue that Tracy's death was fairly meaningless as well. So, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
I don't know. I still haven't fully formulated how I feel about it, but um to come back to your question, if I
Ah, yes,
may,
we are going to
um,
round off with your score out of 10, aren't we?
we are. It's it's a film of many. It's a very dynamic film. It has good bits, it has bad bits. I think it could be better, but overall, there are some very nice sequences. I'm going to give it. Can't have halves, can I? That's cheating a bit.
No,
No.
no, I'd like a whole number, and
Go
then
on.
if it differs from mine, we'll do an average, and that'll be the stuff and waffle score of approval, or not
Okay,
approval, as the case may be.
or not, as the case may be. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. So
Yeah,
that my maths is quite quick. So if we average that out, that's a stuff and waffle score of 7 out of 10 for No Time to Die.
it is. And 7 seems like an appropriate number for it.
Well, it's in between mine and your score, so I'll live with that. We're not
Yeah.
too far apart.
I think an overall 7 is actually about right.
Okay,
Um,
I'll accept that. Yeah,
yeah, because it's not perfect, but it does have some wonderful moments in it.
and
The ending is divisive. It was always going to be. They must have known that when they
yeah, of
created it.
course, yeah, of course, yeah.
That's a very polarizing ending. And it's obvious the hardcore fans are probably mostly not going to like it. For me, it's largely how I feel about it long term will largely be governed by what happens next.
I know what you mean, and I don't know why. I mean, we've had no confirmation other than the line at the end of the credits, but I just feel that we're going to have Daniel Craig is going to be 5 films. That's his Bond
Yeah,
in his own little bubble.
his own image.
And
Yeah.
what a wonderfully glorious bubble it is. What he has done has transformed it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I wouldn't take anything away from what he's done with it. Yeah.
no,
Uh,
not at all. And I think, uh,
and apparently he chose this ending. They presented him with a number of ideas and he said, I want that one. I want that one. Um,
I'm
not like
assuming
that.
you didn't do that.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I hope he did in the
Oh,
script meeting.
actually, yeah.
I want that one.
Amazing if he did.
Oh, oh, I'm going to, in my mind, that's what he did.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that then.
Yes.
No, that's fair, and I've already, like I said, it's already concrete in my mind for some reason. But it's like these films are on their own,
Yeah.
and that's his story, and that's fantastic. And I think we're about to get well, I say about to get a reboot. I think they're going to leave it just a little bit.
Well, I hope you're correct, and I think I can cope with it if these are a bubble. I I think now that it's in Amazon's hands, as much as Bond is ever in anyone's hands other than Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, I think they may insist on some movies a bit more frequently than we've had of late.
Yeah, I can see the frequency going up. I just see this initial gap being. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be years and years. I just think.
I don't think it'll be another 5 or 6 years. I mean, this film clearly was supposed to be released 18 months ago, so fair dues. I mean, the pandemic wasn't their fault.
No.
But or was it?
Oh
But
dear.
let's not go there.
That's the next conspiracy theory, isn't
That's
it?
the next one, isn't it? I've just started it.
Oh shit!
We need to edit this again, quick. Leak
Oh, no.
something.
Oh dear! No, you can't say that. We'll be eradicated.
Yeah, I think Mr. Bezos is going to want something a bit sooner for his money. I don't think he's going to let him go another 5 or 6 years, but I think it could be a couple of years.
I think I don't know why this is just absolute crap rolling around my head. I'd say probably 3 years until you get a film, but 2 years ish until you get an announcement of the next actor.
I think that'll happen sooner than that.
Really?
I think that'll happen next year.
Okay.
Because it often does. If you look at the history of it, the new Bond is often announced quite a while before they start production. So
Right.
I think we may get some indication of direction and possibly an actor next year.
Blimey.
I think.
Right. Okay.
Because Barbara has refused to be drawn on it so far. She said, well, we need to focus on celebrating Daniel Craig's era and, get this movie out and et cetera, et cetera.
I agree entirely. I think the focus should be on Mr. Craig at the moment.
Of course it should. No, I agree entirely. I'm not disputing that. Yeah. But she won't be drawn on it. But I think they are going to want to, depending on the reaction globally, and the reaction in the United States has not been good.
God, that's not even getting into that.
No, they may feel that they want to throw something to the fans, and they have said in interviews this time, because they've been asked specifically, I reference Mr. David Zaritsky of the Bond Experience, asked them specifically, do you consider the fans when you develop these things? Now, I don't know quite the angle or how he meant that.
It's a loaded question, isn't it?
Well, exactly. I don't know whether he meant, did you consider the fans when you wrote this rubbish? Or did he mean, how much do you consider the fans when you develop these wonderfully constructed stories?
Yeah, tone does not come across, does it?
I'm not sure which way he was going with that. But I think Barbara took it in the right spirit, and she said, "Oh yes, of course. Our loyal fans are the most important thing we have. Without them, this wouldn't get to continue." So, I think there's a chance they may want to throw the fans a bone quicker than you might think.
Okay,
that is my thoughts at this time.
That's fair. And my God, let's not open that can of worms. We
No.
need another podcast for that.
We do. Let's not go there. Yeah. I mean, we've got nothing to base that on anyway. Well, not that we have anything to base most of what we talk about on, but that's another matter.
No, we can speculate in another episode, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. It was nice to be back in the cinema, and it was nice to have a new Bond film.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on.
Yeah. And we can debate the ending until we're blue in the face, but it was not a bad film in any way. I think we've covered all the reasons. I think it was just good to be watching Bond in the cinema again.
It's been a while, isn't it?
Yes. There we are, and we can go and start polishing our little Aston Martin models and recreating some of the scenes and all those little. Or is that just me?
No, we all do that.
Okay, good. I'm glad about that. Well, I think that's probably enough of that for this week. Check us out on all the various social medias and things. Thank you very much for listening.